Chris Webber officially retired from basketball in 2009, which means he was eligible to make the Hall of Fame since 2014, yet as of right now he's still not in there. Webber was one of the most unique power forwards of all time, and it looks like he had the stats and the accolades to back it up. On top of that, in his prime, he was arguably just as good as guys like Duncan, KG, and Dirk. For 5 straight years, he finished in the top 10 for MVP voting. And honestly, the Basketball Hall of Fame isn't that hard to get into to begin with compared to other sports. But it's 2018 now, and he still hasn't made it into the Hall of Fame. Why? Well, I think I know a couple of reasons why, and I'll explain. How's it going, ladies and gents? My name's Andy, and today we're going to take a look at why Chris Webber is still not in the Hall of Fame. First off, I'm going to give credit to this Reddit post. The creator of this post found the average of every Hall of Famer stats and accolades. So looking at these numbers, it looks like the average Hall of Famer gets about 7 All-Star selections and 5 All-NBA selections, and almost 2 rings. But the rings part is probably inflated because there are so many members of the 1960s Celtics in the Hall and they won like 10 championships each or something. But if we compare those categories to what Webber has, it's close. For his career, Webber was a 5-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA with 0 rings, so he's actually a bit below the average Hall of Famer's accolades. However, his stats are a bit above the average, so it balances out. I think this is a good indicator that Webber is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it's reasonable that he didn't get in yet. His overall resume is basically around what you expect from the average Hall of Famer, and the average Hall of Famer takes a few years to get in. Maybe next year is his year, or maybe not, but either way, it shouldn't be a surprise that he'd have to wait a few years. This brings me to my second point, which is that in the years that Webber has been eligible to make it, a ton of other people deserved it just as much, if not more than he did. They usually only nominate like 4 or 5 players every year anyway, and the rest of the spots go to the coaches or referees or something like that. So let's look at 2015. Here's the list of people who made the Hall of Fame this year. Most of the players on this list have more accolades than Webber, although that's mainly because Webber suffered a lot of injuries throughout his career. Regardless, you could make an argument for every one of these guys over Webber. I don't even know who Louis Dampier is, but just looking him up, he has more All-Star selections than Webber, and he's also on the all-time ABA team. The same thing goes for the 2016 and 2017 nominees. Like, especially 2016. There's no way Webber's making it over Shaq or Iverson, and Yao was one of the most influential athletes ever. Zelmo Beatty led his team to a championship, and he's also on the all-time ABA roster. And then in 2018, you got Steve Nash, you got Jason Kidd, Ray Allen, Grant Hill, all of whom have had more accolades and longer careers. Basically, it just hasn't been Webber's year yet. There's just been better, more accomplished people that got in before him. That's not a knock on him, there are so many great players across the globe. It's not just NBA players either, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. And the third reason, which I believe is the major factor keeping him out, is the Ed Martin scandal. In the late 1990s, the NCAA started to investigate the University of Michigan's basketball program along with Ed Martin, a notorious team booster who gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the players at UMich. One of those players involved would be Chris Webber. Well, actually, Ed Martin discovered Webber back when he was in middle school and reportedly gave him $280,000 in hopes that he could make it to the NBA and get more money back from him in the future. Fast forward to 2002, during the middle of Webber's NBA career, he was accused of lying to a federal grand jury about his relationship with Ed Martin. Webber denied that Martin gave him any money or any luxuries, but after the FBI investigated the scandal, they found out that Webber did indeed receive free stuff from him. So he was charged on 5 counts of the obstruction of justice and lying in front of the federal jury, which translated to a maximum of 25 years in prison. But eventually, Martin would pass away a year later, and Webber pled guilty and got a smaller punishment. After the investigations were over, 6 of the University of Michigan's NCAA seasons were vacated, including both of Webber's seasons. So his otherwise phenomenal college career was wiped out of the history books. In terms of the Hall of Fame, college careers are kinda important and they could make a difference. But because the Ed Martin scandal created the biggest investigation in college basketball history and Webber was the main player involved in it, this would forever be a permanent stain on his career. Now, I know the NCAA vacating seasons is unfortunately pretty common, and it happened to other Hall of Famers before, but the magnitude of this scandal with Webber was ridiculously high. The courts even tried to force Webber's high school to forfeit the 3 state titles they won with him on the roster. Although that ended up not happening because there wasn't enough evidence. Alright, so I think that sums up the main reasons why Webber is not yet in the Hall. I think he will get in eventually as more time passes, but we don't know how long. I hope he gets in soon though. I loved watching the Kings back in the day, and the style they played was way ahead of their time, and Webber was the guy making it all work. If we just look at his NBA career without any of the other stuff, he definitely should be a Hall of Famer. For his career, he averaged nearly 21 points, 10 rebounds, and over 4 assists per game. Maybe if he didn't get injured so much, it could have helped his chances. Anyway, that's all folks. What are your thoughts on Chris Webber? Do you think he'll make it in next year? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.